Hi, everybody. My name is Kofi Boateng, and welcome to my presentation. I'll be talking about stereotyping and its effects. So, I'm not just going to talk about stereotyping and its effects. I will also attempt to explain the root cause of stereotyping and where stereotyping originated from. We will also see stereotyping from the biological standpoint and the psychological standpoint. Welcome to my persuasive speech. So, I stereotype and you stereotype. Everybody stereotypes. Why? Because biology, scientists makes us understand that the brain works in compartments. How is that so? The brain puts our experiences, whether with people, whether with places, or where we grew up from, we put it in compartments and we save it in our cerebellum, in our brains. Okay. So what happens is the brain works in so many ways that is crazy if you think about it. So being in this room right now, my eyes has registered everything in this room, okay, and it has I just put this in my subconsciousness. So what actually happens is if the brain is going to bring to my consciousness what is around the room, it is basically going to need too much energy. They call it the ATP that my body cannot give to my brain to work. So if the brain is trying to work in its highest capacity, that's 100% capacity, that means we're basically going to die as human beings. So what does the brain do then? Because the brain is so powerful, scientists makes us also understand that the brain only uses a little percentage of its capacity in our brains right here. So the only way that it can keep us alive is that it can only shut over 99% of our brain capacity down. So we can only use less than 1% of our brains. Why? Because if we try to use everything that our brain can do at one time, we're basically going to die. And so that's why the brain puts things into compartments. And when it puts things into compartments, it's for referencing points. And that's where stereotyping comes in. So we put things into groups, brackets for easy referencing. Because if the brain is trying to register everything into our consciousness every day, every time, that means we're going to go crazy. We're going to use too much energy to try and process things as and when we go. And so that comes to our topic, stereotyping and its effects. So one thing I want us to understand is this. Stereotyping is affecting the society, especially here in America. I realized, me for one, that the white people, the white citizens, and the African Americans are basically in a racial war. Why? Because they are coming from different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, different experiences growing up. And another thing is that their past experiences, as far as slavery in the past years is concerned, the African Americans were treated as slaves, basically. I'm from Africa originally, so they took my people, the Europeans, the natives. They came into Africa to pick our people on ships and just took us to other places in the world just for service, for labor, for human labor, and they sold us for nickels and dimes. And what actually happened that time has been a part of our experiences that has been passed down into our generation today. And history makes us understand that what has happened in the past is having effect on us today, that is the African Americans. And one thing I realized is Black Americans, African Americans, have stereotyped white people as bad people because of some of the misrepresentations of white people in the past. And white people have also kind of stereotyped Black Americans, African Americans in some type of way. Why? Because of their past experiences. So there's this continual racial war going on, whether subtle or upfront, it is still there. And that comes to our conversation why we need to talk about stereotyping. Another thing is this. One thing that I also realized is that the awareness of what I'm talking about should be the solution. The good news about this is there is a solution. In fact, there are a number of solutions that we can attempt to try and, address this situation as far as stereotyping is concerned. What is this? What is this situation that I suggest? I suggest awareness. I suggest awareness through educational vehicles like personal seminars that are that will be created for people to teach them and give them the awareness of what stereotyping really is and how our brains work like that. As human beings, we stereotype. Period. Whether you like it or not, you stereotype. You put things into brackets. And we need to understand that stereotyping is a tool. It's not an evil thing. It's a tool, but you can use it for the evil or for the good. And that is something we need to understand. And if this awareness comes to us, all of a sudden the darkness of ignorance walks out the window and the light of truth comes in, so we can know how to use and manipulate our tool the right way. And one thing I need to understand, and we need to understand, is that we can never learn everything at one time. It takes time to learn, but then we can begin somewhere. And I feel like educational systems need to embrace stereotyping education in their system, in their school system, so that when people are growing, like the young people growing up in the generations before, after me, and my generations will learn as we grow about what stereotyping really is, so we can address the situation and know how to use it for the good. One visual I can paint as I'm rounding this up, my presentation is this. I've realized that what you go through, whether you like it or not, will determine what you will group or how you will see people who look like what you went through. And that is another course of what stereotyping does. Me, for one, this is a visual picture I'm trying to paint here. I'm African. I come from Ghana, and I came to America like 2 years ago. And one thing that I realized before coming here was this. They told me that as a black man, you need to be careful of white police and white people, period, because they stereotype us as bad people. And I saw a number of times on TV, the media painting a picture of white policemen killing black folks all the time. And I was scared, to be honest with you. So I came to America afraid. But when I did, I finally got to this place where this policeman pulled me over, and I was so scared because I thought I was about to get shot. So I was trying to do all the right things I was supposed to do. But guess what? The policeman was so nice, and he was white. And that just made me feel dumb. Because, like, okay, what they actually show me is not what it really is. They're just presenting the bad nuts as the whole. And that's stereotyping. We need to get this awareness into our text core so it can change something. And that's why I wanted to talk about stereotyping. And in conclusion, I want everybody at the sound of my voice to learn what stereotyping really is. Get the awareness into us, and let's change the world. Thank you.